Welcome to Mind Decoded, where we explore the psychology behind human behavior. Let's decode today's topic. Your heart races. Your mind spirals through worst-case scenarios. You know logically that the presentation tomorrow won't kill you, but your body acts like it will. You tell yourself to calm down, but the worry intensifies. This isn't weakness. This isn't overthinking. This is your amygdala hijacking your prefrontal cortex. And understanding what's actually happening in your brain changes everything about how you respond to it. Anxiety isn't just stress. Stress is a response to a real, present threat. Anxiety is your brain treating an imagined future threat as if it's happening right now. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux at NYU found that your amygdala can trigger a full fear response to thoughts alone. You don't need actual danger. You just need to think about danger. Your brain can't tell the difference between a real tiger and an imagined presentation disaster. Both activate the same threat circuitry. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or mental health advice. If you're experiencing mental health concerns, please consult with a qualified mental health professional. Let's start with what physically happens during anxiety. Your amygdala detects a potential threat. It immediately sends a signal to your hypothalamus, which activates your sympathetic nervous system. Within milliseconds, your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases. Blood flow redirects from your digestive system to your muscles. Your pupils dilate. Your breathing becomes rapid and shallow. This is the fight or flight response. It's designed to save your life when you're facing physical danger. The problem is, it activates just as strongly for psychological threats that aren't actually dangerous. Here's what makes anxiety different from fear. Fear has a clear object. The bear in front of you. The car swerving toward you. Anxiety is diffuse. It's the feeling that something bad might happen, without knowing what or when. Psychologist David Barlow calls it apprehensive expectation. Your brain is scanning for threats continuously, finding them in ambiguous situations, and preparing your body to respond to dangers that haven't happened and might never happen. The amygdala is faster than your rational brain. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux discovered two pathways for threat information. The fast pathway goes directly from your sensory organs to your amygdala. This happens in 12 milliseconds. The slow pathway goes from sensory organs to your cortex for rational analysis, then to your amygdala. This takes several hundred milliseconds. When you experience sudden anxiety, your amygdala has already triggered the fear response before your prefrontal cortex even finishes processing what's happening. By the time your rational brain says this isn't actually dangerous, your body is already flooded with stress hormones. Worry is different from anxiety, but they're connected. Psychologist Thomas Borkovic studied worry extensively. Worry is repetitive thinking about potential negative outcomes. It's your brain's attempt to problem-solve future threats. The problem is, most worry focuses on problems that either can't be solved in advance or aren't actually likely to happen. You worry about the job interview going badly. You can't know how it will go. You can't control every variable. But your brain keeps churning through scenarios, trying to find certainty where none exists. Here's why worry feels productive but isn't. Worry happens mostly in verbal linguistic processing. You're thinking in words. This creates a sense of problem-solving without actually processing the emotion. Psychologist Michelle Kraske found that worry actually prevents emotional processing. When you worry verbally about something scary, you avoid experiencing the fear directly. This provides short-term relief. The worry feels like you're doing something about the threat. But you're not processing the underlying anxiety. You're just spinning in verbal loops that never reach resolution. Anxiety has a memory component that makes it worse over time. Once your amygdala associates something with danger, it remembers. Neuroscientist Elizabeth Phelps found that the amygdala forms emotional memories faster and stronger than the hippocampus forms factual memories. If you had a panic attack during a presentation once, your amygdala encoded that situation as dangerous. Now every time you face a presentation, your amygdala retrieves that danger memory and triggers anxiety even though the original panic attack wasn't caused by actual danger. Avoidance reinforces anxiety. When you feel anxious about something and avoid it, your anxiety decreases immediately. This feels like relief. But psychologist Richard McNally's research shows that avoidance teaches your brain that the thing you avoided was genuinely dangerous. If it wasn't dangerous, why did you avoid it? Your amygdala updates its threat database. Next time, the anxiety is stronger because the avoidance confirmed the threat. This is why anxiety grows when you give into it. Catastrophizing is anxiety's favorite thinking pattern. Psychologist Aaron Beck identified this cognitive distortion. You take a small possibility and imagine it escalating to the worst possible outcome. You might lose your job. If you lose your job, you'll lose your house. If you lose your house, you'll end up homeless. Each step feels logical in the moment. But you're calculating probability incorrectly. Your anxious brain treats unlikely outcomes as inevitable outcomes. Neuroscientist Karina Blair found that people with anxiety show reduced activity in brain regions responsible for accurately estimating probability. Your threat detection system is overactive while your probability calculator is underactive. Physical symptoms create feedback loops. When your heart races from anxiety, you notice it. Then you worry that something is wrong with your heart. This worry increases anxiety, which increases heart rate, which increases worry. Psychologist David Clark's research on panic disorder shows that catastrophic misinterpretation of physical sensations drives panic attacks. Your body produces normal stress responses. Your anxious brain interprets those responses as signs of danger. This interpretation creates more stress responses. The loop intensifies until it peaks in a panic attack. Here's what chronic anxiety does to your brain over time. Sustained high cortisol levels can actually shrink your hippocampus. This is the brain region responsible for memory and learning. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky found that chronic stress reduces hippocampal volume and impairs memory formation. Meanwhile, chronic anxiety can enlarge your amygdala, making it even more reactive to potential threats. You end up with a stronger threat detector and weaker rational override. This is why untreated anxiety often gets worse, not better. The prefrontal cortex is supposed to regulate the amygdala. When you consciously recognize that a threat isn't real, your prefrontal cortex should send inhibitory signals to calm your amygdala. But chronic anxiety weakens these connections. Neuroimaging studies show that people with anxiety disorders have reduced connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and amygdala. Your rational brain is still working. It just can't communicate effectively with your emotional brain. This is why telling yourself to calm down doesn't work. The message isn't getting through. Breathing affects anxiety directly through physiology. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes rapid and shallow. This triggers hyperventilation, which decreases carbon dioxide in your blood. Low carbon dioxide causes dizziness, tingling, and chest tightness. These physical sensations feel like danger, which increases anxiety. Psychologist Pierre Philippot found that slow, deep breathing from your diaphragm activates your parasympathetic nervous system. This is the system that calms you down. 6 breaths per minute, breathing deeply into your belly, physiologically impossible to maintain high anxiety. Your body shifts from fight or flight to rest and digest. Uncertainty is anxiety's fuel. Psychologist Michel Dugas found that intolerance of uncertainty is a core feature of anxiety. Your brain wants to know what will happen. It wants control. When you can't predict outcomes, your brain treats the uncertainty itself as a threat. This is why anxiety loves what-if thinking. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if something goes wrong? These questions have no answers. But your brain keeps asking them, trying to eliminate uncertainty that can't be eliminated. The practical framework for managing anxiety starts with recognizing the physiology. When anxiety hits, your first move is slow breathing. 6 breaths per minute, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. This isn't distraction. This is direct intervention in the physiological anxiety response. You're manually activating the parasympathetic nervous system to override the sympathetic activation. Second, separate the thought from the threat. Your anxious thought is real. The thought exists. The threat might not. When you think I'm going to fail this presentation, that thought is happening. But it's not evidence that you will actually fail. Psychologist Stephen Hayes' acceptance and commitment therapy teaches this distinction. You don't have to believe every thought your brain produces. Thoughts are mental events, not facts. Third, approach instead of avoid. This is exposure. Psychologist Edna Foa's research on anxiety treatment shows that approaching the thing you fear, while staying present with the anxiety, teaches your amygdala that the threat isn't real. The anxiety will spike, then it will decrease. Your brain learns through experience, not through reasoning. You can't talk your amygdala out of fear. You have to show it evidence through safe exposure. Understanding that anxiety is your amygdala misinterpreting future uncertainty as present danger doesn't make the anxiety disappear. But it does change how you respond to it. You stop treating anxiety as evidence of real danger. You start treating it as a misfiring alarm system. And when an alarm goes off for no reason, you don't evacuate the building. You turn off the alarm. And that's how the mind works. If this helped you understand yourself better, subscribe for weekly psychology insights. Thanks for watching.